Okay, it's taking time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our session. And today, all is about Keel University. So, welcome to the live, and we are live from our all of the pages you can see, and it will be great if you share this live. Because there are lots of people who want to know about Keel University and their courses and everything. So as you can see, we have Hugo with us, who is going to let us know everything about Keel University and the postgraduate courses and what are the offers and what are the rules and regulation. So he is a postgraduate student recruitment officer and partnership officer, international. So Hugo, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm Hugo. I work from Keel in the UK. I am primarily a international postgraduate recruitment officer, but I do a bit of undergraduate as well for my markets, which are Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Ghana. So very happy to be here today.
Thank you so much. So, people who are watching us, basically, I think they all are related to a dream to study in the UK. And we would like to know about what are the postgraduate courses available in this session and in the September sessions as well. There are lots of courses, I believe. So, if you can tell us more about it.
Mhm. So Keel is sort of traditionally quite focused on medical degrees. So we have a lot of things like biomedicine, but bio engineering. At the postgraduate level, we've got things like physician associate studies
Mhm.
and pharmacy, uh, physiotherapy, things like that. At the undergraduate level, we also have medicine, but at obviously this is quite competitive for international students to get in, but
Mhm.
we do have it. It does accept some international students every year. We also have a lot of business courses. Our postgraduate business courses were ranked first in the UK, but in the NSS last year, which is the National Student Survey. So our students are really pleased with what they're getting from our business courses. We also have a really good sort of sustainability department. So lots of things like environmental sustainability, renewable energy, and sort of renewable energy grid management. So managing
Mhm.
a national network of different types of energy production. On campus, we have our own renewable energy farm, so lots of solar panels and wind turbines. So we have sort of our students can get a lot of first-hand experience through that. That also ties into our really good computer science programs. So things like AI and data science, computer science, cybersecurity. Um, you can also do courses about the computerized management of sort of uh, countries' energy systems. So everything you can tie into the sustainability. We also have sort of politics and international relations, um, sort of more traditional geography, if you prefer that, to the environmental sustainability. We don't offer engineering. It's sort of the one big
Mhm.
area that we don't offer, but pretty much every other sort of course you'd expect we do offer. Also, nursing as part of the really popular medical programs in the university, both at undergraduate and postgraduate. We have really good variety of different nursing programs.
Oh, that's great to know. And so people would ask mostly like these courses demand what kind of academic background? So what should they have like the results, I mean the grades, and what would be the English grades should be for these courses?
Yep. So our most of our postgraduate degrees sort of don't require any previous experience. Obviously, this is different for some of the more prestigious degrees, such as physician associate studies, which would require you to have studied something like biomedicine or pharmacy previously. Um, but most of our courses, including things like cybersecurity, the business courses, computer science, environmental sustainability and green technology, uh, and our nursing programs don't require a particular degree. They do require you
Mhm.
to have achieved a 2-2 in whatever course you have already studied, which for uh, Bangladesh, let me have a look at my spreadsheet. Our English requirements are fairly standard. It's IELTS 6 for most courses, um, 6.5 for some, um, especially the medical related courses. Um, but yeah, mostly 6. We don't accept Oxford International online tests, but we do accept the Pearson PTE online test. So if anyone's struggling to get to, let's have a look. If anybody's struggling to get to a test centre, then you have that option.
Mhm.
So for postgraduate, the entry requirement would be a CGPA of 3 out of 4 on for your undergraduate degree, um, and that would be for a or a B grade. Um, we look for a bachelor of 3 years and then a master of 2 years for that, with an average of 3.0 CGPA out of both. If some of our courses require the equivalent of a UK to 1, and if you see that on the website, that will be a 3.25 average CGPA or a B plus. Okay, um,
Okay.
so there are some courses that are slightly different at the undergraduate level. If there are any undergraduate people who are interested, it's your higher secondary school certificate with a CGPA of 4.5.
Okay. So, Keel is not accepting the MOIs from
Uh,
Bangladesh.
no, we don't accept medium of instruction letters from anywhere. It's something that obviously we know that Bangladesh speaks English quite a lot, but it's the sort of thing that if we accepted from Bangladesh, we'd have to accept from a lot of different places with sort of
Hmm.
fairly varying different degrees of English in their higher education.
Hmm.
So it's just the official ones that we accept.
Okay. So, what should be the minimum study gap in postgraduate courses?
So the only course that we have that requires a minimum study gap is the MBA, which requires at least 3 years work experience. All of our other degrees you can study straight from your undergraduate. So you don't need any study gap. You can come as soon as you finish, as long as you've got your certificates. Um, We have no maximum study gap either. You may be asked for slightly different documents. So, for example, if it's been 5 years since you're in education, you might be
Mhm.
asked for an employer reference rather than an academic reference. But
Mhm.
yeah, other than that, there aren't any restrictions on anything like that.
Okay. Can you tell us something about the graduate courses and what are the requirements, and like if Keel University is asking for the grades of the English requirements, English language requirements, and what are the like tuition fees would be for the postgraduate and the graduate programs?
Mhm. So our postgraduate courses start from £17,800 a year.
Mm-hmm.
They go up to about £24,000 a year. But we have a really competitive set of scholarships. Um, Obviously, it talks about the entry requirements, but sort of beyond sending in your sort of certificates from your degree, we're also likely to ask for an academic or employer reference, your high school certificate, um,
Mm-hmm.
and your English language test. So there aren't really any requirements outside of that. It's a fairly simple sort of application process. You can do it all online at the postgraduate level. You can apply directly. Undergraduate, you have to apply through UCAS, but postgraduate, you can apply directly on our website. And yeah, you just need those few selections of documents.
Okay. So why should people choose Keel University for the higher studies?
Okay, so I think the biggest selling point of Keel is its wonderful campus. It is about 600 acres of really beautiful British countryside. Um, it means that there's sort of a lot of space, a lot of greenery. It's extremely safe as well. Um, we also it sort of means that there's a really strong community feeling at Keel. Um, a lot of even our postgraduate international students choose to live on campus or very nearby, which means that they sort of find it a lot easier to connect and engage with the other students. Um, Obviously, Kiel is also quite a traditional university. So compared to a lot of the sort of destinations that are quite popular for international students, we have a much better research record. So in the last sort of UK government audit of research at the UK universities, 97% of Keel's research was found to be world leading, which is obviously amazing. We have ranked 32nd in the latest league table, which is obviously really good as well, out of about 120 institutions in the UK. So we're sort of about that upper quarter. And for international students, obviously, coming to and studying in the UK is a really sort of big thing financially, but we help support with that with a really good set of scholarships. So at the postgraduate level, our automatic scholarships are awarded uh, on performance in your undergraduate degree. So if the student gets the equivalent of a UK first class degree, they get £6,000 off the price of their course, which, if it
Mhm.
is a £17,800 course, means that that goes immediately down to £11,800, which is really affordable for the UK sector.
Mhm.
If they've scored the equivalent of a 2-1, which is the 3.25 CGPA that I mentioned earlier, then that is a £3,500 discount, which is still really good. And if it's and so for everybody, so 2-2, then it's a £2,000 discount. So even if you're only just over the entry requirements, you still get a £2,000 discount. We also have some 100% scholarships available that you have to apply for, but we have 300% scholarships a year, and we have 350% scholarships a year. So they are
Mm-hmm.
for our September intake. You have to apply for them, but we always hand them all out. We also have some great scholarships, which are funded by the UK government, which are £10,000 available for Bangladesh. Um,
Oh, that's
and
great.
yeah, so there's a lot of ways of making your course cheaper, but you're getting a really high quality course whether you do or not. So Keel's a really good sort of good price, but a really good education and with a really good research background as well, in a really lovely
Mm-hmm.
campus.
Okay. So, can you tell me what are the requirements for the scholarships? Like, you have told that 100% scholarship, 350% scholarship. What are the requirements to get this kind of scholarships?
Mhm. So the 100% scholarship, you just have to write a sort of cover letter telling us why you think you deserve the scholarship, or how the scholarship would help you.
Mhm.
It can be things like you have achieved really high academic success earlier, or you think you can be a really good ambassador to the university. So obviously
Mhm.
part of the scholarship program is that we hope that you'll be sort of university ambassadors, which might involve some events, that kind of thing. Um, so it's about how you think you can help represent the university, why you think
Mhm.
you deserve it. Obviously, if you've done really well in your previous studies, but you're struggling to afford tuition fees, something like that, then you
Mhm.
can put that in. But yes, it's about being a representative of the university and helping students who might not otherwise be able to come to get there. So for both the 50% and the 100% scholarships, it's that process. They are then the applications are then reviewed, and you get a we'll sort of announce the winners in around July or August. You have to have
Mhm.
an unconditional offer to apply, so you have to submit all your documents and stuff first. Then you can apply, and then we'll let you know if you have been successful, sort of in the early summer.
Okay, that's great. So, is there any course interview after they get the offer letter?
Mhm. So there isn't at the moment any precast interview. We obviously have a quite rigorous credibility team, but we sort of try and be less intrusive. So it's things like asking for academic references, um, employer references if you've been out of education for a bit longer, things like that. We do sometimes conduct credibility interviews if there are any sort of concerns about an application.
Mhm.
But yeah, for most students, they don't have to do any kind of credibility interview.
That's great. So most of the student will be happy to hear this. And so another question I have that what are the study gaps for the undergraduate courses?
Again, it doesn't matter too much. Um, if you've perhaps done a sort of diploma or something like that rather than going to university, and then worked for a while, we're perfectly happy for you to come back and start again. Um, You may again be asked for a different kind of reference or perhaps some more supporting documents, but
Mhm.
we are not too worried about that. If you have done a bachelor degree previously and you want to do a new sort of direction, you want to do a different kind of bachelor's degree, we might sort of advise you that most of our master's degrees don't require a particular subject to have been studied. So you might be better positioned to take one of those. But if you really want
Mhm.
to do a bachelor's degree, we won't stop you. We're not too worried about study gaps as part of our credibility regime. But you may
Mhm.
be asked for a couple more documents. Just to prove that you've been in work or whatever it is that you've been doing since you uh, finished your education.
Okay. So if a student have just completed his college and he wants to apply for
Oh, I think we have lost uh, Afsana. I'll just keep it going, and hopefully everybody can hear me. I'll just keep talking a bit about Keel. I might answer some of your questions. Um, so the let's have a look. Oh, good. Thank you, Isabella. So we've got offer issuing time question. So at the moment, it depends quite a lot on when in the year you apply. Some of our courses have what we call sort of a deadline of equal consideration. So or gathered field. So everybody applies, and then our admissions team review everything and then start issuing offers. So for things like the physician associate studies or medicine, uh, that's how it works. So that'll be a slightly longer turnaround time because they gather all the applications and then give the best students the places. For most degrees, it's just on a first come, first serve basis, which means that we're looking to have a turnaround time of around 10 to 14 working days. Um, we are because we've had a big increase in international applications, we're providing more resources for our admission team, so more staff and more sort of structure, better processes. So we're constantly looking at getting that application time down. Um, so Ali, I can see a student for most of our master's degrees can study whatever they want, regardless of previous education. There are some courses that have to be in line with their existing studies, usually the medical ones. But it doesn't have to be a direct thing. So, for example, physician associate studies, something like biochemistry, biomedicine would be okay, but not geography or something like that. But we're quite lucky in that, for example, our cybersecurity course, which for a lot of universities, they have to have already studied computer science. At Keel, the master's degree, you don't have to have studied computer science already to do that course. So there are some like that that are quite good. Other ones that follow that are business courses, environmental sustainability and green technologies, things like that. Ah, Hello
Okay,
again.
I was facing some device issue, so I'm going to fix it as soon as possible. But we are also taking some comments from our viewers. I hope you can see it.
Yes,
So
yeah,
if
I've
you
been answering some of those. Yeah.
great. So one of them was asking about the location of the university.
Mhm. So Keel is located pretty much bang in the middle of the country. Obviously we're in the UK, we're in England, but sort of pretty much in the middle of England. So we're about 40 minutes from both Birmingham and Manchester, in a near a city called Stoke-on-Trent. We're a bit sort of further out into the countryside, which obviously makes it quite safe. But we're quite lucky in that there are really good transport links around, because we're sort of in the middle of the country, which means that for getting to sort of bigger cities, students can get a bus and a train very easily and sort of be there within an hour.
Oh, that's good. So can you tell us about the accommodation facilities of the university?
Mhm. Uh, so, uh, One of the advantages of Keel's really big campus is that we have a really good accommodation portfolio. Unlike a lot of British universities that are struggling with capacity with their accommodation and students having to live really far away, that isn't a big problem at Keel. So we have lots of accommodation on campus. It ranges in price from about £3,500, which is really, really competitive for the UK market, to about just under £7,000. For £7,000, you get an ensuite, a bigger room, smaller flats, and things like that. But even at the lowest price, you get a good, sort of nice community, not terribly big flat, so you won't be sharing with a huge number of people. We also have, because we are quite close to Stoke-on-Trent and Newcastle under Lyme, and there are good transport links, a lot of our, particularly our postgraduate students, choose to live there. It's about a 10-minute bus away from Newcastle under Lyme, and there's some really quite cheap housing available there, as well as some really nice, if that's what you're looking for. Some of our students choose to live in a big city still, and because of the really good transport links, you can live in Birmingham or Manchester and still commute when you have classes if you wanted to. But we don't advise it because it's again probably about an hour every day there to get there. But I'm told in other countries, an hour commute is considered less long than it is in the UK. So that might be something that people want to do. But most of our students, live either on campus or very nearby in Newcastle under Lyme, and the local area does have a fairly low standard or low cost of living compared to places like Birmingham or Manchester. So it is quite cheap to live there, both in terms of accommodation and things like food and just your general shopping.
Okay.
Oh, I think you're muted again.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Well, what
Oh, I think it's now me. Sorry, it's muted again.
it's auto muting,
There we go. Yeah, now I can hear you now.
automatically muting me. I don't know what happened.
No worries.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you can see the questions on the screen.
Hmm.
Was Biki Kumar Shah. He was asking like, will the university accept without IELTS from Nepal?
Um, yes, so let me have a look at our Nepalese entry requirements. We've just set up a new partnership with a Nepalese university for computer science. So I don't know if that is a quite a popular um,
Mhm.
degree. Let me, sorry, as you can imagine, our international entry requirement list is quite long. Um,
There are
let's
also
have a look.
requirements for Pakistan, I think,
Yes. Yeah, I will
entry
have a look.
requirements.
Yeah. So Pakistan, I think, is usually. Okay, I found Nepal. I'll go Nepal first, and then Pakistan. So Nepal for master's degree, most subjects it's 65% or 3.3 GPA. If it says it's a 2-1 requirement on the website, then we're looking for 80% or 3.8 GPA.
Mhm.
For undergraduates, it is you have to complete a um, UK foundation year. So because the
Mhm.
Nepalese higher secondary certificate doesn't match up exactly with what the UK A levels do, so you sort of finish slightly earlier. Um, you have to do a
Mhm.
foundation year course to just make up the difference. But Keel has a international college which provides sort of foundation years for international students on campus. It's called KUIC, Keel University International College. It's a partnership with Navitas, who I think provide quite a lot of foundation years all over the world. But we also accept lots of other foundation years. So if you wanted to do one at an institution in country, that is also okay. Um, then for where are we now? So for Pakistan, it's a bit simpler. Um, for undergraduate, it's a 2-year bachelor. Um, so we're looking for, let's have a look. Yeah, so uh, 2-year bachelor for undergraduate, then for postgraduate, either a 4-year degree or a 2-year bachelor with a 2-year master's. So I think the 4-year bachelor's degrees are becoming more common. So for those, we're looking for a CGPA of about 2.5 out of 4 for the courses that list a 2.2 as a requirement, and then a CGPA of 3 for those courses that list a 2.1 as a requirement. For the 2-year bachelor and the 2-year master route, we're just looking for a average of 65% or 2.5, and then 70% or 3 between the two.
Okay, that's great.
Um, I'll,
So
yeah,
there
oh,
are a couple
sorry.
of more questions from Isabella, I
Okay.
think. Can you say
Hmm.
like how many of hours a week do the student have to attend the classes, and what are the job opportunities in the city?
Hmm. Let's, sorry, what was the first question? Sorry.
The first question is how many of the hours a week do the student have to attend the classes?
Okay. Hmm. Um, so it obviously depends on the student. I think it it also depends on their class. I think they're likely to have at the master's level probably around 12 hours a week teaching, and then they'll be expected to do perhaps another 24 or to 36 hours of self-study. Obviously, the UK education system is a lot more about sort of practical and self-study. Um, so you're obviously more likely to get higher contact hours in a more science or sort of subject, whereas if you're doing something like a politics related degree where it's a lot about self-study and coursework and essay writing and that kind of thing, then you'll be spending more of your time doing that than being in a lecture being told stuff. But yeah, it's not sort of too intensive. I think you're looking at around perhaps 40 to 50 uh, hours a week maximum, but most students, they're expected to treat the studies like a 9 to 5 job. So, you're looking at sort of 35 to 40 hours a week study, of which about a third to a half will be in contact, and then a half to 2/3 will be sort of self-study and essay writing, coursework, that kind of thing. Um, Obviously, that means that they have some time left over if they want to have a part-time job. You can work 20 hours a week as a international student in the UK, and but you can do whatever you want to make up that 20
Mhm.
hours a week. We have a student ambassador program, so you can earn money like that on campus if you want. And there are plenty of shops and cafes and stuff like that around in Newcastle under Lyme that they can also get a job in if they wish.
Okay, that's great. So there was another question related to the job. Like they want to know how much availability is there for the job opportunities, like part-time jobs.
Mhm. So I can see a couple of different questions about that kind of thing. So I'll try and answer them
Yeah.
all together. Um, so there are quite a lot of really good job opportunities sort of around campus. So you've got sort of normal part-time work that you might expect a student to do. So as I said, stuff like working in a cafe, working for the student union on campus. So things like sort of working in a bar, and there are other sort of there's a union shop. There are shops on campus as well that you can work in. For more sort of careers-based work experience, Keel's really
Mhm.
good for this kind of thing. So we have a really high graduate employability rate. And one of the ways that we achieve that are, number one, we have a really good dedicated careers service. We also have a lot of private companies based on campus. So because our
Mhm.
campus is quite big, we have a lot of sort of public-private partnerships, and students quite often are very able to get placements with those companies. We run careers fairs where the companies based on campus will come and pitch themselves. Students can sort of start building that relationship that works out quite well with placements, and then quite often students can get a job in those companies soon after. Um, we
Okay.
also we also, because we're based quite close to Birmingham and Manchester, there are good job opportunities in those big cities as well, quite close by. And so it's perfectly possible to have a placement in Birmingham or Manchester and still be attending university. And because of the close proximity to those big cities, it all works out logistically.
Mhm.
We also have some really good links to sort of more local companies. So there are things like on the MBA, for example, quite a lot. I've met people from Bentley and JCB, sort of senior managers who do our MBA as part of their career progress. So you're meeting people who are working for sort of the really big local companies, JCB is based sort of around 10 miles away from Keel, and Bentley is based maybe 15 miles away. Obviously, two really big world famous companies who sort of have quite a big presence on campus. Our business school is a really good sort of representation of how close we are to the jobs that we're looking for our students to go into. So in our business school, you have obviously the business departments. You also have a sort of large number of startup companies, and you have the Keel University International College. So, for example, if you're doing a foundation year, you have that sort of mentoring expertise from people working in industry, from people doing their main degrees, from people doing their MBAs who might be midway through their careers and working for some of the big companies that you might aspire to go on to work for. And so you sort of have this really great sort of collaborative environment in which you have the private companies, you have the academics, and the students all sort of working together and mixing.
Okay. So, well, there is another question like how many intakes do you usually have around the year?
Yeah, so we have two intakes normally, September and January. Our January intake for 2023 is now closed, unfortunately, but September 2023 is going to be a really big intake for us. It is the bigger of the two intakes, and that our deadlines for that are reasonably generous. So there's plenty of time to apply for that. There are also sort of advantages to the September intake, such as the 50% and 100% scholarships that I mentioned earlier. Also, if you want to live on campus, as long as you apply by the 30th of June, you're guaranteed on-campus accommodation. So that can obviously alleviate some of the sort of worry about where you're going to live when you're moving to a new country, and especially if you're an undergraduate and going away from home perhaps for the first time. And the UK is a long way away. It's a strange country, and just to know that we guarantee you a room, we'll look after you, then I think that's really good. So yeah, I think that's pretty much.
Okay. Can you tell us about something more about the students who have already completed the graduation or the post-graduation courses from Keel University? So, what are they doing now?
Mhm. So obviously, one of the sort of big benefits of studying in the UK is that you get the 2-year post-study visa. At Keel, we help you with that. It means that you can, sort of go on to study or work 2 years without having to worry about sorting out your visa again. In terms of alumni, obviously internationally, a lot of our business students are people sort of in the middle of their careers. So a lot of them come to the UK with the hope of, or with the promise of a promotion when they get back and when they've done their masters. So a lot of people, that's how they sort of use the opportunities that Keel gives them. We also have quite a lot of alumni in the companies that I mentioned, places like Bentley and JCB. A lot of the biomedical companies on campus recruit from our students as well. So things like bioengineering and stuff like that. Um, Obviously, with our sort of more vocational degrees, things like physician associate studies, most of our students will then go on to work in the NHS. The same with medicine. So if you are looking to come and live in the UK, then some of those are quite good as well. And even the sort of perhaps less vocational sort of biomedical degrees, again, the NHS requires a lot of researchers and that kind of thing. So it's a massive institution. I think there are about 2.8 million employees in the UK National Health Service. It's one of the biggest recruiters in the world. It is, uh, I think, something around sort of the 8th biggest employer in the entire world. And so there are a huge number of jobs that Keel students do that go on to take them to a career in the NHS. There are also some students who go back home and then use their sort of British degree to go and work for a transnational company. So things like our cybersecurity, our data science, people can go and go back and work for large companies like Amazon Web Services, for example, in their country, sort of with the qualifications that they get from us.
Okay, that's great. From Pakistan, students were asking about like what will be the course fees from Pakistan. It's about undergraduate and the postgraduate as well.
So the course fees are the same no matter where you're from. So for Pakistan, it ranges from, I think, £16,500 to about £24,500, depending on the course. That's the same for everywhere. They also are entitled to the same scholarships. So if you, for example, are an undergraduate, so I think this is one that I haven't talked about. So I've talked about the postgraduate scholarships, which are 6,000 if you've achieved first class degree, 3,500 if you've achieved a 2-1, and a 2,000 if you've achieved a 2-2. For Pakistan, I can tell you what exactly that translates to. So it would be it'd be £2,000 if you achieve 65%, £3,500 if you achieve 70%, and £6,000 if you achieve 75%. If for undergraduate, if you surpass our entry requirements at all, so it doesn't even have to be by a huge amount, you will get £5,000 off your first year of study, which is really good. Then if you do well in your first year and get a first class in your first year study, you'll then get £2,000 off your second year. And if you do the same and get a first class in your second year, you get £2,000 off your third year. If you get a 2-1 in your second year, in your first year, you'll get £1,000 off your second year. And the same, if you get a 2-1 in your second year, you'll get £1,000 off your third year. So there are quite a lot of different ways to make it cheaper. And our scholarships and our fees are the same no matter what country you're from.
Okay, that's great. So they are also having the opportunity to get the 100% of the scholarship, right?
Yeah, so 100% scholarship and the 50% scholarships are also available for all countries.
Oh, that's great. So, what we have to do to get us prepared for the September intake? I'm asking on behalf of the students who are getting prepared for the September intake.
So I think, especially from Bangladesh, one of the things that tends to hold students up is not having their official certificates. If you have your official certificates already, then there is absolutely nothing to stop you. You just need to you can apply online, you can apply now. At this point in the year, you may have to wait slightly longer for an offer because our admissions team are currently processing the precast checklists for the January intake. When the January intake is out of the way, you'll get your offer. So the documents that you'll need are an IELTS or PTE or a different kind of English test. We accept quite a lot, and there is a web page on our website that tells you sort of about the different types that we accept. There are it's yes, either your high school certificate for undergraduate, your degree certificates for postgraduate, and your transcripts. We can sometimes provisionally accept sort of the provisional certificates if you believe that you'll get your original, your official ones before we need to issue you your confirmation of acceptance, which you use to apply for your visa. So you have to have your original certificate before that. But obviously, I know that sometimes universities are pretty slow in giving out the official certificates. So if at this point you only have the provisional, by all means still apply, but you will need to provide the official one before you're able to come to the UK. Other than that, things like academic reference, if you've recently graduated, we will ask for. Good things to sort of make sure about when you're doing your academic reference is that it can't be just confirmation that you attended the university. We trust that if you've got your certificate and transcript that you attended, it's not about that. It's about sort of figuring out what kind of student you are. So it's something to perhaps ask one of your lecturers, perhaps your favorite lecturer, for a reference rather than someone like the registrar. So that's a mistake that sometimes students make, is they sort of provide a yes, they attended here sort of letter rather than a proper reference that sort of talks about what they were like as a student. But other than that, I think it's a fairly simple process. Our deposit is going to be £4,000 for the September intake, which is reasonably low for the UK. Obviously, you have to evidence the whole amount of your fees, or if you're undergraduate, for your whole first year fees, for when you come to the UK, and we ask for a bank statement before we give you the CAS, basically sort of asking you to demonstrate that you've had the money for a 28 days. So if, for example, your money is in quite a lot of different places, a good way to be proactive is by getting it all together now, so that when we ask for the bank statement, you can just go to the bank, get one, and you don't have to wait for those 28 days with your money all in one place.
Okay. So, does the university offer internship opportunities?
Yep. So actually, in my team, we have a few international interns at the moment. So you can work for the university. You can also, for undergraduate degrees, have a whole placement year, which allows you to. A lot of our students go and work sort of for some of the companies that I've already mentioned. Or perhaps in Birmingham or Manchester. You're obviously, because you live away from campus during that year, you're not particularly limited geographically, so you can go and work anywhere you want, doing anything you want, and that is really good. So that's a whole year. For the master's degrees, we offer placement modules in a lot of them, so particularly business and computer science, which allows you to in a shorter amount of time, go and get some good work experience, and then you have the opportunity as well to write about that and sort of feedback and make that part of your degree if you want to. So yeah, lots of placement opportunities.
Okay, that's great. So, person or a student who have got already the conditional offer letter. So, how can he get the unconditional offer, and how much time it can require for that?
Mhm. So it will depend on what your conditional offer is dependent on at the moment. Uh,
Mhm.
for the January intake, we have given out some automated conditional offers. This isn't going to happen for September, but if you've already got one of those, it basically details the documents that you will need. So if you upload all of those to your student portal, your applicant portal, and then accept the offer, that will then trigger an alert, which will get our admissions team to have a look at it for you.
Okay, that's great. So I hope everything is known, like what Keel University is offering, and what the facilities they are getting, and many more things about undergraduate and the postgraduate courses. So there was a lot of discussion, and thank you so much, Hugo, for all of this because it was a lot of information. So we have a last question from one of our viewer, like how many installments can student pay for the fees?
Okay, yep. So it works out for as usually for a master's degree, 3 installments. So you pay your deposit, you then pay a installment in October, and then you pay an installment in January. So obviously with the £4,000 deposit, if most people's courses cost sort of between 11 and sort of £14,000 after their scholarships have been applied. So you're looking at sort of 33% ish in 3 different goes.
Okay, I think we have covered most of the informations, and we are end of our session. And thank you so much, Hugo, for being with us till now. And there was very helpful information for the students and for us as well. And if you have anything to say for the viewers, please.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody who's been here and participated and listened. I hope that you have really enjoyed this. I will be coming to Pakistan and Bangladesh both before the next intake. So I'll try and sort of set up some kind of event whereby if you have any other questions, you can come and meet me in real life and sort of ask those. But in the meantime, lots of information can be found on our website. And if you have any other questions, feel free to get in touch with our inquiries team at inquiries@keel.ac.uk.
Okay, so viewers, this is all for today. If you have any other question regarding any courses from Keel University, you can call us and we will respond as soon as possible, and we will provide all the information you need. So for today, this is it, and have a lovely day all. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.